Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge television and radio talk show, Where Truth Matters. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, beginning at 2 p.m. on the Eastern Time Zone, as I get to ride home with you in the afternoon. You may find us on television. We are syndicated on Abundance Television. And that's found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And don't forget the podcast on the Newscasters.com. You can also find us on the radio, the biggest country station in South Carolina, WZLA. 92.9 FM on the dial, and you can also watch them online. As a matter of fact, before we moved to South Carolina, we listened to the station online, so you can go ahead and check them out that way as well. Continue sending email. You know that makes my day. And I just love hearing from you. Donna at donnasedge.com. Donna at donnasedge.com. So Victoria Lee Scott is with me right now. She is with the Newscasters studio that is just growing by leaps and bounds. What is the secret, or is it really a secret, as to why you guys are growing so fast?
Communication. Reaching out to each one individually. I just already did an interview this morning, and I think I have 4 more for new podcasters today. So this week, I think I had 8 books for this whole week. I think it's important. I could be sending them all these links and all this information, but I think people are responding better to what we're doing here, talking to one another, opening up communication, dialogue. You know, everybody went out there before we started the Newscasters, and what I found is everybody was doing their own thing on their own social media, and now everybody's kind of looking like to belong somewhere. Mm-hmm. And that's what we have built, a social media podcasting news network. So a place where you can get good, solid information, and we are growing. We've actually just added our 4th sports channel. We have 2 cooking channels, and you know, it's just an interesting journey, because some people I'll talk to and it's like, well, you're way to the right and you're not left enough. And I try to tell them, like, that's the whole idea here, is to have a different perspective. As long as somebody can adhere to journalistic ethics, their voice is welcome here. It's not one side or the other. This is about reuniting American voices. We've been separated for so long, put in our own little boxes, doing our own little thing. And I just think that people love when I call and they're like, well, send me an invite. And I'm like, well, here's the number. You call into the studio and we will talk. And that's how they're liking that. They're liking that a lot better than just, you know, using technology, you know, kind of keeping that one-on-one, which I find is very important.
I'm loving the fact that I don't have to press 1 for English and 2 for Spanish or 3 for whatever kind of language. I like it because I can just talk to you. I mean,
well, it's funny because I was just talking, because I'm integrating, putting my businesses together under one. You know, I got all these different companies, so I want under one phone company everything handled, or Spectrum TV and everything under one. And I was just talking to her. She just called me and she was like, do you want to press 1 for the Newscasters, press 2 for the salon? I'm like, no, they are their own. No. Don't do that. Press 1, press 2 on me. Please don't.
Well, people are good and tired of that, you know, and customer service has just went by the wayside. I mean, it really has. And to have this good customer service at the Newscaster studio, I mean, that's just another huge plus for you guys.
And that's a huge plus in all businesses right now, Donna. There's nothing worse. There's nothing worse than I mean, I found that, you know, service is just gone so downhill, as if everybody's doing you a favor. And it's like, no, I want to talk here. Let's back up a little bit and let's have a conversation. Mm-hmm. But even in restaurants and even in stores and every place that you go, service, I don't know what it is, but it's like nobody's really taking the time and the pride to promote what it is they're trying to sell or the point they're trying to get across. Mm-hmm. You know, and I think we've got to go back to those basics where we can have a conversation, where we can discuss your feelings, my feelings. We might not agree, and we're not always going to agree. But that's the point. The point is that we understand we let's face it, we are with a generation that doesn't want to hear it, that it is my view, my point, and they do not have the tolerance to hear another side. And that's what's got to change, because, and a lot of it I look at, we have generations that are now growing up that have been raised with one half of America's history. So I truly believe that I can't necessarily blame them, because they've just been given one side in so many things that to show another side, they just don't know how to grasp it. It's like, well, this is what I was taught and this is what I know. And it's like, yes, but now it's time to learn something new.
Well, what happens is I've never heard the word no before. And,
Yeah.
did growing up, no, you can't do that, and you dare to ask why, because then, you'd be in trouble for asking why. You just basically, we had to learn how to adjust. So I can't, go to so-and-so's house. Well, then maybe they can come to my house.
Right.
So you had to adjust for different things like that. And that's kind of lacking. And I think this has really hurt our kids with them growing up that way.
I happen to agree. Well, the same thing too. I kept wondering when my daughter got old enough. I couldn't wait as a kid when I drove in the car with my parents to turn 16 and get a license. I mean, I just wanted to drive and break free. I couldn't understand why my daughter didn't want to drive. Then I started thinking about it and started giving it some thought. And I said, well, why would she want to? Number one, we've stuck them in the back seat going from school to sports to wherever they're going to go. We've thrown a meal at them. We've given them a DVD to watch movies. And that's what they did in the car. Then the phone came in and they had a whole social life. So why would they want to drive? I'm watching a movie. I'm talking to a friend. And then we give them Uber to top it all off. I mean,
so why would you? They really don't know what they're missing.
No.
And back in our days, of course, we were in the South. And so, I mean, you could go outside. It was an adventure. So we would have we'd catch fireflies and put them in the
jar
and have a lot of fun with that. There was a little creek, at our house when we were kids growing up. Dad bought 2 lots that went on, with the half acre that he had bought. And there was a little stream running through there. I mean, to us, we had 100 acres. And we would go out there and catch crawdads and put them.
Oh, yeah.
Scared to bring them in the house, but of course we'd sneak them in there anyway and put them under my bed. But it was fun. It was fun to catch fireflies and put them in a jar and, pull the covers up over you and look at the fireflies.
Right. Yeah.
Those are just little ways that we could use our imagination. Now, what happens, in your opinion, when imagination goes away?
And that's what's happened. And now we have so many young people living in a false reality, and on social media and thinking, they don't have, I mean, ask how many kids, if you look from when you and I were kids, how many kids today climb a tree? I mean, climb a tree. And I remember getting up. I couldn't wait Saturday morning. You had cartoons and breakfast. As soon as that was done, you were out the door on your bike. And everybody met and everybody rode. And you didn't go home until the street lights came on. Mm-hmm. And that's, we went and I remember riding in the woods on a bike, and like a mountain bike, and just thinking, when you're trying to make a path and just doing all that by yourself. But it also, if you were thirsty, you just grabbed the hose that was connected to the house and you turned it on and you drank some water.
Those were fun days. And see, all of those things have been taken away from the kids. And so they've grown up in a bubble. I mean, I would feel like I I hated wintertime because it meant you stayed inside more.
Right.
And
we had what was called a sump. I don't know if you guys know what a sump is. A sump is a caged in, and it was for the sewer system. And it all went down like this to a gully, all 4 sides. And I kid you, when it snowed, we would hop that fence and sleigh right down. It was incredible, just the paths and what we would do. But the same thing too, we would go behind the apartment buildings where it was always flooded with water. I don't know, by the train tracks, there was always water. But in the winter, it would freeze, and that was our ice skating pond. And things like that. We went out and found adventures. And that's what I think is missing today. Kids, you know, they're doing play dates, you know, and they're also, you know, they're also very structured play dates. And we're going to do this and we're going to do that, you know, and they don't have that freedom that we had as kids. I mean, you know, riding in the back of a pickup truck, you know, no seatbelt, no helmet. I mean, that was fun.
I can't believe we're still alive. You know, there was something we used to do. There was at the back, our yard went downhill, kind of like that. And then there was just a little bank that went down, and then there was a garden out that area, vegetable garden. So we couldn't wait for my parents to get appliances and stuff like that. We would even get, because what would happen is we'd get those big boxes. And then we'd get on those boxes and go sliding down that hill. I mean, that was just, I can't believe we didn't get killed. But anyway, that was so much fun. And so then there was a man that, now our place used to be, and we didn't find out until we lived there for about like 10 years. There was an Indian burial ground. But the one thing that we did that used to be there like years and years, decades ago. And so what we would do, we would dig out in the yard a lot, and we were always finding arrowheads. So we knew that. So we were always finding these arrowheads. And then later on, I mean, it made the world news in this little town, Cheehaw Acres, Cheehaw Indians. And so there was a burial ground out there. So they were digging up, and so many things were being uncovered with that, you know, but we weren't living in a bubble. It was a reality to us. And it was just exciting to know that this is a burial ground out there. Indians used to walk out here.
Yeah.
It used to be so awesome for us. And I'm part Indian. I've got some Indian in my ancestry, but it was so much fun just using your imagination, just pretending what it was probably like.
Yeah, and that's today, you know, and it's very interesting because the generation, my daughter's only 28, and that generation is there's just one side to this world. You know, and thank goodness, I think a saving grace for my daughter, to be honest with you, is I come from a very autistic, talented family. As a matter of fact, my daughter for Christmas, for her godfather, who has his boat down in Florida that I sail with, this is what she painted for him.
Oh, wow.
And that's his boat there, and she painted this for her godfather. Isn't that cool?
That is so, I mean, you'll never get another gift like that ever.
Right. So my point to that is, thank goodness that my daughter had an autistic talent, because it allowed her creativity to flourish and to blossom. But there are so many kids that don't have that. I mean, I've owned my hair salon for 30 years, and I've watched these kids from kindergarten until now they're bringing me their children. But it's just interesting that their world is so small, you know, and they haven't really expanded. And technology, you know, I have one kid yesterday. I've known Aiden since he was a little boy, and now he's a young man. But it was everything you spoke about. He pulled up everything on his phone. I mean, it was just, there was no one-on-one. It was like, oh, Vic, look at this. Oh, Vic, look at this. Oh, Vic, look at this. And I was just like, stop. You stop for a minute, Aid. Stop. You know, let's just talk about the first picture you showed me.
Let's go into a commercial break, and then we're going to be right back in just a few minutes. I want to talk about how this works, what we're seeing with kids right now. Will they be entrepreneurs like we were? We'll talk about that when we come back. We'll be right back in a minute.
Queen City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. At Liberty Bank, we're all about community, whether it's to help with a charity fundraiser or help families in need. Toys at Christmas or a local football team, we're here for you. You see, we realize the importance of family. Sometimes it's to build a new home or necessary home repairs. We're here for you. If you like the feel of a small town bank with all the conveniences of a big city bank, we're here to serve you. You will find us at any of our convenient locations in DeKalb, Marshall, Etowah, and Blount counties in North Alabama. You can call and speak with any of our friendly staff at 256-659-2175 or check us out on the web at libertybankal.com. And thank you for your support of our community. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
Designs offers a line of handmade memorial, wedding, and keepsake jewelry that launched back in 1970. I'm a self-trained jewelry designer, and I will work closely with you to create unique designs you can love and treasure for years to come. Whether that be flowers that were used in a funeral arrangement or stones you found on the beach at a memorable trip, call me at 256-659-4319, and let's think of the possibilities.
I'm excited to announce our Christmas extravaganza is finally here. Get this season's flannel sheets for as low as $59.98. They won't last long, so get them while you can. Our famous My Slippers, they haven't been on sale for over a year. Regularly $119.98, now only $59.98. Our 6-piece towel sets are back in stock with extremely limited quantities, only $29.98. With hundreds of MyPillow products, there's something for everyone on your Christmas list. Bathrobes, duvets, quilts, down comforters, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save on all MyPillow products. For example, flannel sheets for as low as $59.98. Or our 6-piece towel sets, just $29.98. But that's not all. I'm extending our 60-day money-back guarantee until March 1st of 2025. Plus, all orders over $75 or more ship absolutely free.
Okay, we are back. My name is Donna, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Television and Radio and Podcast Talk Show. Thank you again so much for watching. We definitely appreciate that. Victoria Lee Scott is with me right now. I love my shows with Victoria. And you and I were just instant friends. I mean, the very first meeting, there's this Alabama gal with this California gal. So, it's just the rest is history. But I wanted to ask you, we were talking about kids, the way they're being raised right now. We've just, okay, like me, like I was constantly skinning my knees. I can't believe I have kneecaps. Anyway, I played baseball and football and all that, but I was the only girl in the neighborhood. So, I was a tomboy. And so I was constantly doing that, skinning my knees, but what we've done with our kids and our grandkids now, they can just barely like slip and fall, and it's like everybody runs to this child, where my dad would just say, "You're okay, you don't have a fever, get up." I mean, it was just that's the way I was.
100. I would my shins took a beating. My shins, always it was my shins. I have today, you can still see all the scars because they don't tan, as you know. So it's like, whoa. But I do think that what frightens me probably the most, Donna, is the false reality that the generations now are living in. Because with technology, they can really create anything, So even if, for them, something interesting is their food what they're eating and how they can just photograph it and you know, and create and use backgrounds. And, you know, and that's where technology has taken us. But I do think that you need a real dose of real life. And that's what I'm afraid that they're missing. You know, they're coming out and now a lot of them are facing, because once they come out and they all went into, if you remember, especially here in California, you know, into technology, and they all moved, you know, they all moved up to San Francisco where all the big tech companies were. And then as soon as AI started coming into the picture, you wouldn't believe how many of my young people that went up to work in these big companies, Microsoft, you know, and all the other ones that are up there in Silicon Valley, that are now been replaced and are coming back home. But when they're coming back home, what I'm finding is they're hitting into depression because their only entertainment was gaming. Mm-hmm. So now they're sitting there with these gaming and think, you know, they all think they're going to become multimillionaires on social media, so they don't have to do anything. And the world is feeding into that with them. But what they're really missing is real world experience. What they're missing is those skin knees and those skin shins, such as what you and I had. You know, because that's how you learn that, yeah, you know, you just get up and you put a Band-Aid on it and you go on. You know, what? Not today. Today they got to go to the doctor, and then they got to recheck, and they got to go to a therapist, and they got to go, and then they got to do this, and they got to stay on bed rest, and you know, and that is what I worry how that's going to play out in another 10 years, because the generation that we've watched happening this to are becoming young adults right now. Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering how, you know, if our generation doesn't step up and start giving them a little bit of a reality check. And that's what I think they need right now.
Well, what does that do to a young person who has been, they've been cushioned on everything? What does this do to them when they start a business? Because, you know, when you start a business, most first businesses do not succeed.
Right.
You got to make mistakes, and you learn from the mistakes. Well, you learn from the mistakes and move on and start another business or start it another way, but they're not used to that. So what does this do to young business owners?
Well, it depends on what direction they go in, because right now with AI changing and our digital currency and crypto and all of that changing, if we can get those who are moving in that direction and finding success, instead of what we've got to put a hold on is the greed. You know, you need, in order to keep what you have, you've got to share it. In order to keep it, you got to give it away, is my motto. So I'm hoping that those that do find a way to succeed and to become, well, they will use that to teach and train and bring others along with them. Because I don't think, I just think that so many young people have put everything into technology that if they don't have the proper guidance, you know, and there's a dying breed. Our generation is getting older, and, you know, every time I turn around, this week I've lost two people this week alone from my inner circle. Mm-hmm. And if we don't keep passing that on, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if they're going to find a new way. I don't know if AI and technology, but let's put it this way. What are they going to do? Let's just say if technology is shut down, I mean, it's not like it can't happen. We have a power grid that's running dry right now. Mm-hmm. And we cannot change it. There are like 2,000 transformers in the United States. You can't move them or change the transformers because our roads and bridges aren't strong enough to move the weight of those transformers. So unless we get back in there and start restructuring, which I know we are beginning to do, but I just think what's going to happen? Like, what could really happen to our young people if technology was shut down? Even if it was shut down for 1 week, that would create mass hysteria. They're not like you and I who would find another way. You and I would find an AM, FM radio, put in a little 9-volt battery in it and try to make it work. We'd be doing something. I don't care if I get something out on the water, one of those, coming in.
It would be Gilligan's Island all over again.
Totally. But
we'd find a way to connect.
I do worry about that. I do worry that they don't have any survival tools. They don't know how to grow anything. They don't know how to be creative as far as to make something happen when it doesn't happen. What's happening is we've come to their rescue as parents continually to their rescue. That's why there's so much depression in young people, because their minds haven't been geared to think for themselves. Everything has been answered for them. And though we all want to give our children the best, don't get me wrong. I just, me, unfortunately, my daughter contracted a deadly illness when she was 6 years old. So her battle has been for her own survival, which is totally different than what every other child has to deal with. And therefore her, her art talent really exploded, for the simple fact is that she went inside. She knew she couldn't heal certain things, but she knew she could. And I encouraged that. Even this Christmas, the paints and canvases, that was part of her Christmas gifts. I mean, I continually nurture that. And it's funny because my daughter just asked me the other day, she goes, do you have a CD player? And I'm like, a CD player? What do you want with it? That's like asking me if I have an 8-track. What? So what happened is my brother had given me some CDs of his original music that she had taken from the salon. They were brand new. And she just, can I have these? And I was like, yeah, not thinking about it. But it's very interesting because she wanted a CD player because she thinks music is different on a CD player. So I know she has a playlist and all of that. But it was really nice to see. It rang a bell because when she was in about beginning of high school, she asked for something, and I found an antique. She wanted a record player to play albums. All right, what kid wants to play albums? My child wanted to play. So I found an antique piece of furniture, right, which was, it had the record player. She could plug her phone into it. It had a CD player. It had 5 different things on it, and AM, FM, the whole thing. And she absolutely loved it. She loved playing albums. And now it was funny because this week it's like CDs.
There's a different sound to it. You know what? We've got to call it a day. I can't believe this. It's so fast. But when you're having fun with Victoria, guys, thank you so much for watching. Definitely appreciate that. Thank you so much for watching Donna's Edge television and radio talk show and podcast talk show. Continue sending email. Definitely appreciate that too. Donna@donnasedge.com. Thank you again so much. Hope you have a great, wonderful rest of the day. Bye, Victoria. See you later.
Bye-bye.
Twin City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you.
Thank you so much for watching. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Television, radio, and podcast talk show. You can find us anytime you want to on television. That's Abundance Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Don't forget the podcast on the newscasters.com. And you can also find us on the radio. Yeah, man, at the biggest country station there he is right here. I know in South Carolina, everybody loves them. WZLA, and that's 92.9 FM on the dial. You can listen to them online as well. That's what we did before we moved to South Carolina. It's such a good station to listen to. They play the older classics. Now, what I mean by older classics are like the group Alabama, Feels So Right, all those great, great things, kind of country rock stuff. And then they even throw some of the old Hank Williams stuff in there from time to time, but make sure you listen to them. I have Victoria Lee Scott with me right now, and it's always such a pleasure, Victoria, to have you on the show. We think the same way. I just do it in a Southern English tone. But anyway.
The last time we were talking about the next generation of children, and it reminded me of a saying that I heard much when I was growing up from my father. And it was like, figure it out. Figure it out. And I remember sitting there and going, I don't know how to figure it out. And I figured it out. But it's funny when we were talking about, about the generation coming up and the tools that they have and their imaginations and stuff. So it's funny because it just came back to me, and I had a laugh after we finished the last show and saying, figure it out. I hear my father, figure it out.
That's what you have to do, and that's how you survive. That's how you're able to jump into, because the systems we have as far as the financial systems in the United States and in all over the whole world, but especially here, you've got to be able to jump from one president to another, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Seasons of horrid, like we just had with Joe Biden, it was just terrible. And now it's better again. But I wanted to mention this to you. So I'm part of a group, and you are too. It's called BNI. It's a business community. And so one of the financial guys who's in the group with us, so I just want to ask you a question. I said, what? And he said, is your business better off now than it was when Biden was president? And I said, well, yeah. I said, but I want to tell you, I didn't starve to death when it was Biden. I just had to learn different ways and jump from one saddle to the next. That's what I had to do. But I will say this, it's much easier to grow right now. I'm not having to go out and beg for sponsors. They're coming to me, which is pretty good. But and probably Newscasters has a lot to do with this, and having Victoria Lee Scott on the show with me. You're having me sell ads. But anyway, it's better. I mean, I think we feel confident. But now I want to ask you a question, Victoria. So we're not always going to have Donald Trump as president. Somewhere down the line, there's going to be another Democrat come in and foul up everything that Trump did. It could be this next time. It could be, 20 years from now. Do you think we need to just relax and it's all done and taken care of? Do we need that kind of an attitude, or do we need to be constantly on watch?
We need to constantly be on watch. The Newscasters is one thing, and how it's grown and the advertising and everything I've done there. But I've also owned a hair salon for 30 years that is really taking its toll right now. We have a generation that is doing their own haircuts on YouTube. We have a generation that if these girls don't like the color of their hair that they've done it, there is a whole world of hair in the younger generation that if they don't like the color, they'll just shave it off. They don't care. They don't, it is crazy to watch. And they're just, I'm watching these girls, and I can probably make more money being a commentator on watching some girl on TikTok telling her what not to do than I can having somebody come in my salon and have me do it. I kid you not. There is such a change in that industry. And now we have AI. Excuse me. We have AI in Dubai. They're putting all these AI videos out there. You go into a mall and you put your head in this machine. You pick a picture and you put your head out of the machine and you got the haircut. I'm like, what are you doing in my business?
That is weird. Okay, what if the machine malfunctions?
And you know what? Why would you put your head into the...
No way.
I'm not kidding.
On a self-driving car.
But you have all these young people going in and you pick the picture, You put your head in this helmet, you put your head in there. Next thing you know, you come out and it's like, what are hairdressers going to do? It's crazy to me. Crazy. And not only that, it's that technology has really created with AI a really false sense of reality for the next generation. And that kind of worries me, quite a bit. As far as even the news go, if I take five people in my salon and I bring up a topic, they have no idea what I'm talking about. Even if it's Venezuela, nobody even remembers. What was the first thing the Biden administration did when they took office? They sent Kamala Harris to Venezuela, if everybody remembers. Now, why did they send Kamala to Venezuela? Because at that time, China and Russia, because Venezuela was really hurting and breaking down. If you remember, the streets, the people were starving and everything that was happening. And we only got snippets of that. But nobody was aware on the big scale what was going on. And China and Russia came in and started taking all the resources. And then we watched the false election there and what happened there. And, but if you talk to young people, they have no idea. All they know is, like we were talking last show, is that small little bubble that they live in. And I find that to be extremely dangerous. Knowledge is power. Even you don't have to be an expert on it, but we should be aware of it. And I blame a lot on mainstream media. And that was one of the biggest reasons for putting everything together on the newscasters, because you're only getting snippets into a 2-minute of some guy of this or that. But we're not getting world politics. We're not getting foreign policy and what's going on and where we stand in the rest of the world. We're not watching as our children are trying to figure out what bathroom to use. Chinese 5-year-olds are taking and putting apart and putting back together in under 5 minutes an AK-47. I mean, serious. We're not paying attention. We're not educating them enough for world survival. And that is something that frightens me. And that plays a big part in what I do at the Newscaster studio in reuniting American voices, all kinds of voices. I mean, it's not about one side or the other anymore. That's what the Biden administration chiseled into our country. It divided us. It divided our children, telling them they can wear and boys can be girls and girls can be boys and you don't have to do this and you can make money sitting at home on your couch and just play games and you'll earn a living. What have we done? I mean, what have we really done? And that to me is, I am so happy that we at least have an opportunity still to swing the pendulum back. I mean, and that's...
We have to go to the basics. We've got to go to the basics with these kids. A simple thing like this, the kids look at you in awe, like you don't know what you're talking about when you say, with one tomato, go to the farmer's market, make sure it's organic, buy one tomato. Do you know how many plants you could make out of one tomato? All you got to do is take it apart. You need to clean the gel out of the seeds. You got to let the seeds totally dry. That takes a few weeks to do that. You got to turn them over just a little bit, but it is so worth it. Out of one tomato, I have hundreds of plants. All I've got to do is buy one.
I know, but we have a generation that has their food delivered. I mean, when I watch in my neighborhood, I am floored. How much does Starbucks cost? And now you're having 3 or 4 and you're having it delivered. And all your food and your meals are all delivered. I mean, we don't even know what's in our food anymore. That's what's really frightening. And we have a generation that's really not questioning. And I do believe that they need a little bit of negativity in order to start kickstarting that. The reality.
I've got to ask you a question. Did you know that the McRib from McDonald's is not really a rack of ribs?
I know.
They're being sued for that. But how many people were thinking, well, first of all, if it were really a rack of ribs, it would cost more than that.
Right.
More than there is. So you had to kind of question that. Now,
why don't we question 1 million burgers sold a day? Or how many millions? Where are all these cows coming from? Really, I'm serious. You're only talking about if they're serving 1 million burgers a day just in McDonald's, not counting what's in every store across this
That's
country.
not Burger King and the rest of them. I mean, that's
But not even what's in the supermarket.
that's yeah.
And that's why it worries me, because now they're able, I mean, even the fruit, Donna, I am not kidding you. I can take apples out of the market and you can rub that red off. They're painting fruit. They're painting it. I've got pears. I love pears. I can't get them to ripen.
Isn't this something? Okay, when you can put a McDonald's fry, drop it in your car, get the car cleaned a year from now, and it still looks like a French fry, something's wrong. It should be molded. As a matter of fact, it should be so molded you wouldn't even recognize it being a fry.
And it's just crazy. I think, our food supply is something that should have eyes on. And even those who are doing organic, if we're not growing it ourselves, I question it. I really do, because I'm floored that the fruits and vegetables in my market where you can rub some guy earns a living putting red spray on apples. I mean, that's a job. And with
paintbrush.
and the same thing with meat. I mean, they're adding coloring to meat that's not good meat, but they'll add coloring to it so it looks fresh.
I have not bought steaks and ground beef at a grocery store for years. I find a local farmer.
Yeah.
And I buy from them. And I'm telling you, the meat lasts longer too in the freezer, because if you better hurry up and eat that ground beef you get at the grocery store. You better hurry, because it starts smelling rank, and I can't take that smell. So
you and me both.
Steaks are horrible. Find now make sure that this local farmer does not use hormones. Okay, make sure that this is like really organic stuff, because you can tell just after 2 months of taking one out of let's say a steak out of the freezer, you can tell the difference between the one that came from the grocery store and the one that came from your local farmer.
100. And same thing with eggs.
Oh, girl, don't get me started about the.
I need a chicken. I need a chicken to lay me some eggs, because I'm serious. What is up with the eggs?
My girls are laying eggs like crazy, even in the winter time. And I think part of it is we communicate with them. My son's all kinds of crazy. Y'all are going to be laughing at me, but I talk to my girls, and I see my girls every single day for the eggs they're giving me. We feed them good. It's all organic stuff. We don't do hormones, all that stuff. And they're just fat, happy chickens.
Right.
They're just happy to be hens. We got one rooster. He protects all the girls. But I'm saying in more ways than one. But anyway, he's pretty happy. And so everybody in the whole roost, they're just all happy girls. But I think one thing is when people started treating animals like they're dumb brutes. I hate that. I really do. They're part of what God gives us. And I couldn't eat one of my girls. I just couldn't do that. When they start getting too old to lay, I don't know what I'm going to do. But anyway, I can't eat them. But sure to appreciate the eggs we get. And it's such a protein. And think about this. When you buy a grocery store egg, I used to think my grandmothers were just all snooty about this. They would say, I wouldn't have an egg from the grocery store. They would say that all the time. They'd be like, what's the difference? I mean, is an egg an egg? No, it's not. Now I know. It is not.
It is not.
Yellow yolk. It's not a yellow yolk. It's almost an orange yolk you get when you have your own girls or you buy from the local farmer's market. I mean, that's just the way it is. I can't believe this got to go into a commercial break. I'll be right back in just a few seconds. Everybody hang in there.
Queen City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you.
Are you ready?
We all wonder what tomorrow will bring, but the future lays itself at the feet of the prepared and surrenders to the will of the persistent. It's not easy, but today shapes you so you can shape tomorrow. With Northeast Alabama Community College, when the future asks if you're ready, you can answer.
Yes.
Begin your future at Northeast Alabama Community College.
Okay, we are back, Miss Donna, and I'm your host of Donna's Age Television Talk Show, and really the host of the show is Victoria Lee Scott. Victoria Lee Scott is with the Newscasters Studio. Let's talk a little bit more about Newscasters Studio. I know you guys you're constantly planning. It's an ongoing thing for you guys. You plan all through the year, which is good, and that's why the business is so successful. But what do you see new on the horizon for the Newscasters Studio?
There are a lot of things I'm in talks now, so I don't want to get too far into it, but I have new people coming on on the business end of moving a company to the next level. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot, and they have a lot of fresh ideas, which I'm looking forward to. When I was up in Boise, I wound up meeting a gentleman who works in alternative energy. And he was very smitten by what we've created here and right now. So they have so much to bring to the table. And that's, I'm going to move I'm going to move information. My whole thing with the Newscaster Studio, Donna, is I believe everybody is fallbacks on YouTube. And there really is no competition for YouTube. You just go to YouTube. Here's a YouTube video. But I think there is room for a network that has good, solid information where you don't have to, where you can cut through all the garbage, because there is a lot of ridiculousness. And the same thing too, I don't have patience for chuckle politics. I just don't. I mean, you've got a point, and with the Newscaster Studio, it's not like on mainstream media where you get 2 minutes and that's it. I like it where you and I have developed, a system where we can have a conversation with someone, where we can get a little bit to the meat of what's going on and to the topic, rather than just a snippet here or a snippet there, because that's what the world is living on. They're living on little snippets of everything. And I know in scripture, we're told, Jesus tells us to chew the cud, to ponder, to think things over. But in order to do that, you need different sides of a coin in order to have information to make your own decision on how you feel about something. And that's what I think the Newscaster Studio main focus is, to give people a few sides of looking at something so that it then ignites their brain into coming up to their own conclusion. Everybody, if I have one more woman sit in my chair who's tried every diet there is. Have you tried this one diet, the cabbage diet, the water diet? No. Why don't you just sit and find what works for you? And that's my point, is like where everybody wants to, do you listen to this one? Do you listen to that one? You need to have a healthy dose of a little bit of everything so that you can then decipher what it is you as an individual bring to the table. Because all we're hearing is regurgitated information that people are being fed. Just like my young person yesterday, he wanted to share something with me. Oh, but you got to listen to this guy. Oh, picks up his phone. You got to listen to this. No. Why don't we have a discussion on how he affected you and how you feel about that? I don't want to hear what he says. I want to hear, tell me a little bit of what the discussion was, and then tell me, what did you walk away with? Because what you're telling me is you didn't walk away with anything. You've walked away with his thoughts and his ideas. But what we need to do is to teach them how to process the information, to take it in, whether it's one side or another. We should be open to hear both sides. But people aren't staying long enough because we've been spoiled by what I call instant gratification. So it's like, just give me enough. So I got, I just need the synopsis. I don't need to read the book.
That never worked at school. Okay.
No, it didn't, huh?
Diary of Anne Frank. There was a movie about it, Diary of Anne Frank. And
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, the teacher knew the ones who did not read the book. Okay. And they were going by the movie, The Diary of Anne Frank. And it was totally opposite. Good thing I love to read. I actually made an A+ on that. But things are different. But let's talk just for a minute. Is all of this stuff by design? And the reason I'm going to ask you this is I was in the cell phone business at a really good time. It was the beginning. It's back when the phones were analog. I sold a lot of analog phones. Then we got sold on digital phones. Okay, the reason they sold us on digital phones is they said that it would be better. It would be this, it would be that. I really liked the phones better when they were analog phones. I really did. I feel like the coverage was better. I feel like the speech was better. I feel like you could understand people a little bit more on the other end. We get sold things. We get sold a product. We get sold an idea, like analog versus digital. I mean, you're better off with analog, and I'm glad I had that good dose because I'm ready. Something happens to the digital world, I'm ready with analog.
Well, it's also, too, it's also about control, Donna. Controlling the masses.
Well, everybody else has it.
Yeah, let's look at how now, how much more control everything is taken digitally. I mean, you can't do anything. You've got to. I have to have a password book just for passwords. I mean, and then you got to continually change your passwords because it just. Well, what I'm saying, it keeps us so occupied that we're not. That's my point when we were talking. It keeps the mind so occupied on the nonsense that we really don't. And it's no different. Let's go back to the Roman days. What did they do? The gladiators, the Colosseums, they made them big, and it's what you did. And same thing with our football stadium. All of this keeps us away from the reality of what's happening in our worlds and in our daily lives. It just keeps us, it's a way of control. But sooner or later, we're going to need, certain things and certain tools. Mm-hmm. And there's going to be a lot of people that don't have those tools. And that's why they'll be easier to control if they don't have those tools. And do I think it's moving in that direction? Yeah. I read scripture. I know how the story ends. I mean,
we are headed there. I'm just telling you.
Yeah, I know the book. I mean, I know how it goes. So my point is, and that's why it's so important for me with the Newscasters studio to bring people back to reality. I want people that have a different point of view for me. But even this morning, I said yesterday, and he wrote me a whole email this morning. I sat yesterday, showed him all around the studio, and he goes, well, it's kind of, I'm looking at your company, it's kind of right wing. And, I'm kind of in the middle. I said, well, that's what you're not understanding what I'm trying to do here. The reason I reached out to you was to open up a dialogue so we can have these conversations. But you're sitting here and you're saying you don't want to be a part of something because it's part of something else. Well, there's part of the problem.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, it is. About 2 minutes left in this segment. How can folks find out more about you guys? And are you looking for any other ventures, other than what you have? And in other words, other folks with different ideas.
That's exactly what I am looking for. I just did a whole push on LinkedIn for new people. And that's why I have all these podcasting, I go after the ones that are out of the box. I go after somebody I don't, and now it's very interesting because we have people coming to us from, I just put on, Rick Amato is now with us with the Amato Report. He come from One America News. I got Let's Get Terrific. And Greg came to us. He had a sports channel on his network TV in his town. So what I'm trying to do is get people that want to take the talent and step out into their own to create a new dialogue, a new platform. And, instead of just, to conform to certain things. I want people with different perspectives, with different ideas. You know, I've added the cooking shows, the sports channels. I'd like to do it more in a homemaker. I'd like to have somebody who would take on our school boards, where a channel where somebody can have all school boards throughout the country, like the teachers union, they can all talk throughout this country. Well, how about if we have Take Back Our School Boards, and we have somebody from school boards where you can get a school board, somebody, a parent from Mississippi, California, New York, where they can be in one studio and they can all converse what's happening in their studio to make them more powerful than what's happening with just the education department telling, no, you're going to do this and we're only going to teach out of this book. We need to open up into widespread, and that's what the Newscasters studio is about. It's about reuniting true American voices that have something to say. We got a good dose of that with Nick Shirley this week. How about him? Citizen journalist. Look at the can of worms that kid opened up with just his cell phone. Look what he opened up. How dare the mainstream media not know anything what they have been doing in Minnesota, Mississippi, and across this country. You had one kid with a cell phone that exploded the corruptness of what's going on. And that's a citizen journalist. And that's what the newscast is about. People that have something to say, but nobody wanted to hear. So what did he do? He took his cell phone and he knocked on all those doors. And by Joe, even the president heard this kid, okay? That's what we need to do. We need to reestablish where we stand as an individual. And unless we go back to understanding where you stand as an individual, we will all look, and let's look at New York, the collective. The hell is a collective? The collective? That means you're taking away everybody's right to make them do what you want them to do. That's what I see as a collective. And that's what we have. That's not what America is about. That is not what we have founded upon. And if anybody has a voice and wants to have a studio, their own studio on the Newscasters, they can reach me at Victoria at thenewscasters.com. Simple. We're on LinkedIn. We're on X. We're on Threads. We're out there on Facebook, Instagram. Everything is meant to reunite our voices. That's what this is about. This isn't about me getting some big star and that's what's going to do it. This is about the small person that has something to say, but nobody wanted to hear it. This is about a platform where now you have some place you can hear it. And the good thing about the Newscasters is, like I'm here on your show, we all go on each other's show to promote one another, to brand the platform as a new media. We are also part of, every morning I get an email from the White House, from the Office of Communications. The Newscasters studio was chosen when Trump took office a year ago as part of the new news media. Though I might not be sitting in the briefing room, but I get an email every morning to where the president is, what he's doing, what bills, who he's talking to. Every morning I get that. Just like we had James O'Keefe when Lawrence wrote his book to Andrew Breitbart and James O'Keefe, who started exposing things years ago. Lawrence's book has been on Amazon since 2013. He passed away in 2015, and I continually push it. Today, I am watching James O'Keefe in the briefing room. Years ago, they took this guy and they slandered him left and right, not wanting to hear his voice. Excuse me. Andrew Breitbart and Jamie Jameson lost their lives for exposing the truth with Anthony Weiner back when. So now, if we can do this now, we've got to bring the light. Shine that light, whether it's on a cell phone or an iPad, shine that light on what's going on, because we can change this country and we need to.
Or Donna's old analog cell phone. We can do it any way we want to do it. There you go. The flip phone, the flip.
If not, I'll catch you on the CB.
Victoria, as always, thank you so much for being with me on the show today. And thank you guys so much for watching and for listening. We definitely appreciate that. Continue sending email. I get a thrill out of it. Donna@donnasedge.com. Donna@donnasedge.com. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.